Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today I'm going to be going over my final team selection for Game Week 9 and just an overall Game Week preview as well. A lot has happened over the international break, so there's a lot to talk about. So if you're excited for the video, make sure to drop a like down below. Leave a comment, what is your Game Week 9 team looking like? Subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So starting things off, I of course am on my wildcard this week, so obviously had unlimited transfers, and I've been umming and ahhing about so many different decisions, but my team is finally kind of sorted. Of course, unless there's any last minute injuries or anything from the press conferences, this is the team that I'm going to be going into Game Week 9 with. So in goal, I do have Gaeta. Again, Chelsea at home, not the greatest fixture, but the fixtures after that are just really good. And I know that Palace's defensive numbers are in the bottom 5 at the moment for out of like all the teams, but they have played some of the best teams in the league. So with the run of fixtures they've got coming up, I definitely think that will kind of rectify itself. Vieira will definitely sort it out. So yeah, I'm quite happy with Gaeta in goal. Pope is also a really good option as well, but he's a little bit more expensive. I do have Trippier as well for the Newcastle defense. I don't think I need double Newcastle defense. They do have some nice fixtures, but you know, Newcastle play like my two strikers, and I don't like having defenders against strikers, because obviously it's going to go one way or another, so it's not basically the best kind of way of getting the most possible points out of a game week. But anyway, Gaeta in goal. Again, Pope a really good option, but I've just gone with Gaeta. My head says Gaeta. My backup goalkeeper is Iverson over Ward. Again, really don't know who's going to play out of those two right now. It's an unfortunate situation to be in for those goalkeepers, but I've just gone Iverson because he's a little bit cheaper. But anyway, that's my goalkeeper option. The back line at the moment is James away at Crystal Palace, Cancelo at home to United, and then Trippier away at Fulham. So yeah, I know that obviously I've just said I don't like having players playing each other like defensively and stuff like that, and obviously I've got James playing Gaeta, but it's just one of those things. It's going to happen, and I want to limit it as much as possible. So yeah, James away at Crystal Palace, potentially a clean sheet there. I mean, a perfect result there would probably just be 0-0, I guess, because I get my clean sheet from Gaeta, which obviously isn't heavily owned, and I'd get my clean sheet from James as well. But Cancelo at home to United, I feel like I don't know if United's going to score in that game. I don't know how this Manchester derby is going to go, because City are just smashing it this season, but obviously United are a little bit better now, so I don't know. I feel like City will still win the game, but you know, whether United will score or not, I'm not too sure. The reason I've just gone Cancelo over Trent is just simply because I just think that City's defensiveness is just so much better than Liverpool's at the moment. And as well as that, after the Brighton game for Liverpool, they do play Arsenal and City, so it's not really something that I definitely need. I know they don't blank in Game Week 12, so obviously that's kind of a bit of a positive for owning Trent, but the fixtures get a lot better for Liverpool after that blank. So yeah, I'll have to kind of work Trent in around that time. But either way, I've gone Cancelo, and then Trippier as well away at Fulham. Just again, a really good option to have at the moment. Midfield is Zaha at home to Chelsea, De Bruyne at home to United, Maddison at home to Forest, and Martinelli at home to Tottenham. I've heard a lot of people say that if you're on a wild card, you probably shouldn't have Martinelli. I understand where they're coming from, because his fixtures are Tottenham at home, Liverpool at home, Leeds away, and then a blank. But after that, the fixtures are really good, and you know, I don't really want to lose the money. And I know that you don't win FPL over like 0.2, 0.3, but you know, Martinelli I still believe is the best kind of player around that price range, and I don't necessarily think I need to get rid of him at all. There's also talk of obviously playing like Andreas Pereira over him this week or something like that, or one of my bench options, but I think Martinelli is still capable of scoring against Spurs, and it's usually a bit of a goal fest as well. I think that Kane and Son could do well in these games. I think Jesus could do well. The only problem about having Jesus though is that he is on 4 yellow cards, so 1 more yellow card will be a match ban, and obviously Arteta needs him for these games coming up, so he does have to be careful. But if he does get a yellow card in the North London derby, which again could easily happen because it's a derby, he will then miss the Liverpool game, so that would be quite a big boost to kind of like Liverpool defensive players. Maddison at home to Forest. Honestly, I know that a lot of people are thinking of captaining him this week. I think that he could do well against Forest, but again, this is another derby, and I think Forest are definitely capable of scoring. They could win the game. Both teams are not necessarily doing great at the moment, but yeah, I think that'll be an interesting game. I don't know which way that's going to go. Leicester might pip it, but as a Forest fan, hopefully we do bring home 3 points, because bloody need them. But yeah, captaincy option potentially, but I think that Salah and Haaland are probably a little bit better. I've also gone De Bruyne as well over Salah and Son. I already spoke about it in my last video, but yeah, I think De Bruyne, I just want him for this week, and then when they play Southampton. And then I might bring in Salah for the Liverpool game, but I'll most likely bring in Son that week, and then have Son for the Everton home game, maybe captain in that week as well, and then obviously have Son for the blank, and then either go back on De Bruyne for like this run of fixtures they've got, or bring in Salah. It's a tough one, to be fair. And then Zaha as well at home to Chelsea. I know another attacker playing a defender, but he's on penalties, so he's just got the best run of fixtures coming up. There's also the idea of having like Bowen this week and then just transferring in Zaha next week after the Chelsea game, which I don't necessarily hate, but it's just kind of wasting a transfer, and I don't necessarily... I think he could easily score against Chelsea, so, you know, we haven't really had enough data of Chelsea under Potter to kind of, you know if they're going to be a really good defense or not. So that's still an interesting kind of thing to find out. But that's the midfield. Up top, I've got Mitrovic at home to Newcastle, Haaland at home to United, and then Tony away at Bournemouth. A few people are thinking of bringing in Solanke because it's allowing them to upgrade like a Trippier to Trent. I don't mind that idea. It's just, I don't know if everyone's kind of putting their eggs in the basket with Solanke. I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't think he's really proven himself yet. Obviously, Bournemouth do have some nice fixtures coming up, but I'd much rather go for Tony. I know that Solanke's on penalties as well, but for a little bit more extra money, I'd rather bring in Tony. It's kind of one of those like Solanke plus Trent, or like Tony plus Trippier for me. So yeah, it's a tough one. But yeah, Haaland captaincy this week. I don't know. I went against him last week when obviously Kane played Leicester, because I thought that was a little bit better. But I don't know. Haaland at home to United is the derby. I think that he could bag a brace in that game. If I did bring in Salah though over De Bruyne, would I captain Salah? Potentially. I think that anytime percentage to score this week though, Haaland is still on like 60% and Salah's on like 40 something, so the odds are favoring Haaland to score this week. But yeah, I think going against Haaland is just a little bit risky. I hated it last week, well, the last game week when I went against him. Obviously it worked out for me, but I didn't watch that City game. I didn't look at anything about it until the end of the game. Yeah, it was just not nice to see at all. And then my bench is currently Iverson, Andreas Pereira, Dalot, and Kilman. So again, I just think going into the like game week 12, game week 13 and stuff, when there's like a quick turnaround and stuff, a lot of fixtures coming up as well over like the Christmas break and everything, I think it's nice to have a solid bench ready for that. But either way, that's just kind of what my team is looking like for game week 9. Again, going over transfers and stuff, what I'm probably just going to do is roll next week, because the team's looking really nice next week. I do really like how it sets up. I'm probably going to have Gaeta in goal. Well, I'm obviously going to have Gaeta in goal. I'll have James at home to Wolves, Cancelo at home to Southampton. I'll probably play Dalot away at Everton, and then also Trippier at home to Brentford. And then I'll probably bench Martinelli at home to Liverpool, and then I'll play Zaha, Maddison, and De Bruyne. So I'll probably go for a 4-3-3. And then the week after that, I'll probably get rid of De Bruyne and then bring in Son. Just simply because he is a decent captaincy option at home to Everton that week. And then, he does play Man United in the blank, but after that, I will then just get rid of Son and bring in Salah for game week, well, the game week where they play Forest, because after that the fixtures go, the West Ham, should I say, because that's just when the fixtures get really good. So that's how I'm going to kind of divert around it. I still have 0.5 in the bank as well, in case I do need to upgrade or anything like that around it elsewhere. Again, I probably want to start thinking about getting Trent in as well around this game week, and Tony is someone I could get rid of around that game week. I could drop him down to, I don't want to say it, but potentially Solanke, and then that would give me enough money to bring in Trent as well, just I think, if I get rid of Trippier. But either way, that's kind of what my kind of future is looking like in terms of my team. Going over the most asked questions this week, though, Isaac replacements. Solanke is... I don't want to say he's an option, because he's basically just going to be bench fodder. I don't necessarily think he is a good option to bring in. I personally like, obviously, Mitrovic and Tony. Tony's got an immediately good fixture, obviously Bournemouth away. Mitrovic's long-term fixtures are a little bit better. They're both on penalties, though, which is obviously really nice. So yeah, personally, I would go for Tony for Isaac instead of like Solanke and stuff. But again, it depends how much you want Trent into your team. Apart from that, there's not really been any other massive injuries. I know Patterson's been out, but again, if you are on a wild card and you wanted a 4.1 mil defender, then you'd obviously just bring in Nico Williams instead. Digne's being injured, but again, not a lot of people really owned him. I think Kulusevski is also actually injured. I think he's got a hamstring injury. I think he's got like a 50% chance of playing or something. So, yeah, if you do have Kulusevski, then it's going to be one of those. I mean, there's a lot. The good thing about having Kulusevski is there's so many options you can replace him with. You can bring in Zaha, Maddison. I wouldn't necessarily bring in Diaz because now that Jota's back, there's a little bit rotation risk there. But yeah, Zaha, Maddison, potentially Bowen as well for Kulusevski replacements because, again, he is injured. But yeah, captaincy option this week. I think if you're bringing in Salah, he could be a good option, but again, it's just risky going against Haaland. I don't really think anybody else really comes to mind. Again, Maddison also a nice option as well at home to Forest, but you know, Tony could also be an option as well. Bournemouth away could bag a couple in that game. You know how bad Bournemouth are at the back. But yeah, apart from that, I don't think there's any other options, to be fair. But yeah, that's kind of my final sort of I don't think there's really any other big questions to really go over. There's not been a ton of injuries over the international break. Again, the biggest one is probably Isak, maybe Kulusevski as well. But that's kind of it. So we're going to wrap up everything there. If you did enjoy the video, please do consider hitting the like button down below. Let's try and hit 50 likes. Leave a comment. What are your final Game Week 9 teams looking like? Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell. It's everything from me, though. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time,